Hello everyone, this is Dr. K. Jagannayaki, Professor in MBA Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today, I want to discuss with you about price elasticity of demand. So after going through this topic, the learner will be able to understand the meaning and definition of price elasticity of demand, types of price elasticity of demand, and factors influencing price elasticity of demand. Introduction to the elasticity of demand. An elastic demand is the change in quantity demanded due to a change in its determinant factor. So this can be used by the formula elasticity is equal to the percentage change in dependent economic factor to the percentage change in driving economic factor. It is the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity due to change in price or other things remaining the same. So when we are talking about taking price as the major determinant, so we used to keep all other factors as constant. In other words, the price elasticity of demand is the percentage change in quantity demanded due to certain percentage change in price. So calculation of elasticity of demand, which is derived by this formula, percentage change in quantity demanded of good X divided by percentage change in determinant Z. So any of the determinant one can consider, it may be either price, income, advertising, available substitute goods, the price of other products, future price, taste and preferences of consumers, etc. Coming to the price elasticity of demand, it is the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a commodity due to change in price, other things remaining the same. So if you remember the demand function, which is a function of P, Y, T, A and so on. So it may be the function of any demand determinant. So when I am taking price into consideration, all other variables remains constant. So the proportionate change in the quantity demanded of a product or commodity due to a proportionate change in the price of the commodity is known as price elasticity of demand. So we are considering price as the major determinant. So based on that, we are going to evaluate the elasticity of demand. So when customers are highly sensitive to changes in price, there is a high price elasticity of demand. This means, for example, that if inflation causes prices to increase, customers will reduce the quantity they purchase by switching, substituting or skipping. It can also indicate conversely the price reductions may spur additional sales. So because of the changes, so sometimes if there is an increase in price, the quantity will decrease. If decrease in price, the quantity increase. So it may happen because of the changes in terms of price. So mathematical expression, mathematically, the price elasticity of demand can be expressed as price elasticity of demand PED is equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Whereas Q1 denotes initial quantity, Q2 new quantity, P1 initial price and P2 new price. If the price increased by 10%, the demand for CDs fell by 20%. Then the PED is minus 0.20. If the price of petrol increased from 130 price to 140 peso. The demand fell from 10,000 units to 9,900. So the percentage change in QD is -1, and whereas the percentage price is 7.7%. So therefore, PED is minus 0.13. If you take other case, if the price increase from 50 euros to 50 pounds to 55 pounds, the PED was 0.5. How much did quantity demanded fall? So the percentage change in QD, therefore it is minus 5. Then demand is price elastic. If a change in price leads to a bigger percentage change in demand, therefore the PED will be greater than 1. Goods which are elastic tend to have some or all of the following characteristics. They are luxury goods. Example, if you talk about the sports car, they are expensive and a big percentage of income. Only some class of people they may afford those type of cars and holiday packages. And goods with many substitutes and very competitive market. For example, the Sainsbury put up the price of its bread. There are many alternatives, so people would be price sensitive. And next one is bought frequently. So those products we used to make purchases most frequently. Then price inelastic demand. These goods where a change in price leads to a small percentage change in demand. Therefore, its PED is less than 1. So inelastic demand PED less than 1 minus perfectly inelastic PED is 0. So inelastic demand it may vary from plus or minus 1. Goods which are inelastic tend to have some of the features like they have few or no close substitute, petrol and cigarettes. They are necessities. Example, if you have a car, you need to keep buying petrol even if price of petrol increases. They are addictive. In case of cigars, people they used to become addictive in case of alcohol also. They cost a small percentage of income or bought infrequently. In the short term, demand is usually more inelastic because it takes time to find alternatives. If the price of chocolate increased, demand would be inelastic because there are no alternatives. However, if the price of Mars increased, there are close substitutes in the form of other chocolates. Therefore, demand will be more elastic. So, based on the availability of products in the market, the price elasticity of demand it ranges between elastic to more inelastic. Then price elasticity of demand measures the relationship between the proportionate change in demand and all the proportionate change in price. It shows how much change in price will cause how much change in demand. The formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand is elastic demand versus inelastic demand versus unitary elastic. The formula is proportionate change in demand to that of proportionate change in price. Now coming to the first one, perfect elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand is when the price is constant but there is a change in the demand. That is increase or decrease of a commodity. Thus the demand curve is parallel to x-axis. So here elasticity of price is equal to infinity. So both are parallel. They are moving in the same direction. Then second one is perfectly inelastic demand. When the demand is constant, there is no change in the demand of a commodity even if the price changes. Either the price may increase or decrease. it do not have any impact on the quantity demanded. So thus the demand curve is parallel to y-axis. So demand for salt is the best example for perfectly inelastic demand, whatever may be the price of salt we used to consume. So in this case, the price elasticity of demand coefficient is equal to 0. Then third one is unitary elastic demand. So unitary elastic demand is when the proportionate change in demand is equal to the proportionate change in price. It means that the change in demand is the same as the change in price. It may increase or decrease. So for example, the price of a commodity increased by 10%. The same 10% either increase or decrease we can see in the quantity demanded. So thus the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right, but it is rectangular hyperbola. So this is unitary elastic demand, and example of this all comfort goods comes under unitary elastic demand, where the coefficient of price elasticity demand equal to 1. Then comes relatively elastic demand. So when the proportionate change in demand is more than the proportionate change in the price, it means that a little change in the price shall cause more change in demand. The demand curve slopes downward from left to right again. So example is luxury goods. Whatever may be the price, because of the status quo, people they may acquire those luxurious goods. So in that case, its coefficient is always greater than 1. Then comes relatively inelastic demand. So relatively inelastic demand is when the proportionate change in demand is less than the proportionate change in the price. The more change in price shall cause less change in demand. The demand curve slopes downward from left to right but steeper. An example of this kind of demand is necessary goods. So where we can have its coefficient is less than 1. Then comes coefficient of price elasticity. Economists measure the price elasticity of demand PED in coefficients. In response to the change in price, the demand for a product can be elastic, perfectly elastic, inelastic, perfectly inelastic based on the coefficient. Then coming to the types of price elasticity demand. So infinity, perfectly elastic. It means that changes in price result in demand declining to 0. Greater than 1, it is known as elastic demand. Changes in price yield significant change in demand. Then comes 1, unitary. Changes in price yield equivalent percentage changes in demand. Then less than 1, inelastic. Changes in price yield an insignificant change in demand. Then 0 means perfect inelastic. Changes in price yield no change in demand. So whatever may be the change in the price, it do not have any impact on the quantity demanded. Then what factors that affect price elasticity of demand? So number of substitutes available. So based on the substitutes also we can have difference in terms of the quantity demanded. And price of product in relation to income. So most of the cases, the consumers purchasing dishes based on their income levels. When a household's income changes, accordingly the demand for goods and services will also vary, and the demand for products and services becomes elastic. Then comes cost of substitution. So in some cases, the result of changing from one brand to another may be quite high. For example, if a certain cable service has a lock-in period of deposit, then an existing consumer cannot change to another service, although inexpensive, without losing the deposit. So hence demand becomes inelastic here. Then brand loyalty. Sometimes consumers are loyal to a specific product. In such cases, the price change in product will not affect its associated demand. So even brand loyalty also makes the demand inelastic. So people they may be stick on to only one specific product because of the trust or faith whatever they have in the particular company's product. They stick on to that product. So that is known as brand loyalty. And next, necessary goods. Necessary goods such as medicines and petrol usually have an inelastic demand as the consumers have to purchase these goods irrespective of the change in price. Whatever may be the price of these products, the demand will be more, and there should not be much response we can get from the consumers because they have to use that products. Then coming to the example of price elasticity of demand, as a rule of thumb, if the quantity of a product demanded or purchased changes more than the price changes, then the product is considered to be elastic. If the price goes up by 5% but the demand falls by 10%, if the change in quantity purchased is same as the price change, then it is known as unitary or unit price elasticity. If the quantity purchased changes less than the price, say minus 5% demanded for a plus 10% change in the price, then the product is deemed inelastic. Suppose that the price of apples falls by 6% from $1.99 a bushel to $1.87 a bushel. So in response, grocery shoppers increase their apple purchases by 20%. The elasticity of apples is that becomes 3.33. The demand for apples is quite elastic. Then how does price elasticity affect firms and industries? In addition to consumers, the price elasticity of demand also affects industries and firms. By studying how consumers react to PED, they can understand how to price their products to ensure competitiveness. If the companies they want to avail competitive advantage, definitely they should understand the price elasticity of demand. By understanding PED, they can invest in effective sales forecasting and manage revenue and profits because the ultimate aim of any business is profit maximization and revenue generation. So that should be possible by way of effective sales forecasting. Then understanding PED also helps industries to manage their advertising strategies. So everything they can have full control if they are aware of the market condition and about their competitors analysis. Then only it is possible to the companies or industry they can make effective decisions. And the price of elasticity of supply, which is denoted as PES, which measures how responsive the supply of a product or service is when there is a change in price. So the supply is inelastic. It might mean a company is too short staffed to keep up with demand and needs a longer lead time to produce more of its products or does not have the resources to expand its facilities. So based on the demand, we have to supply the goods and services, but some cases because of non-availability of the products and sometimes lack of manpower, the companies may not provide the goods and services on time. So as a result, it becomes inelastic. If supply is elastic, a company might have a surplus of available staff to increase supply. Knowing PES allows the businesses to determine whether a change in price will negatively or positively affect the demand for its product or service. So that they used to find out with the help of the coefficient of price elasticity of supply, and which is calculated by the formula PES is equal to percentage change of supply to that of percentage change in price. If supply is inelastic, an increase in price leads to a change in supply that is less than increase in price. It means that PES is less than 1. If supply is elastic, then PES is greater than 1. If the price of world's greatest bus marks falls 10% and the supply falls by 5%, then the PES is 0.5 and is considered inelastic. If the price of bubble heads increased by 15% and supply is also increased by 20%, then its price elasticity of supply is 1.3, which is greater than 1, so it becomes elastic. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.